Hi, welcome to episode 10. This month is February, or for the Roman god Februus. So I will be looking today at how I can link that month into knitting. But if you are new here, my name is Sarah. I am a knitter and independent yarn dyer based in Swindon in the southwest of England. I have an Etsy store, SarahKnittyB Yarn, and you can follow me on socials as SarahKnittyB. Links will all be in the description below. But yes, we will be looking at Februus this month. If you didn't catch my last podcast, I had a tenuous link between the Roman god Janus or Janus and knitting. And I've decided that I'm going to try and see if I can do it for every month of the year. Not entirely sure how we're going to do March though, because I know that is the Roman god of war, and I don't really think knitting and war, well, let's not go to war with our knitting, let's say. So I hope you've all had a very lovely January. If you celebrate Chinese New Year, if you celebrate Candlemas, or go by Groundhog Day, as I believe they call it in America, I hope you have had fun doing that and that you have all had a lovely month of January with all of your crafting. First of all, let's discuss Februus. So Februus is the Roman god of February. He is the reason why we have such an annoying month to try and spell with the double R in there rather than just February. And he is the Roman god of death and purification, or I did see one source that said purity. So because we don't want anybody to die, I'm seeing the death element more as change, or in knitting terms, death to those whips that we've had in progress for longer than we care to remember, and are we actually going to finish them or frog them? So first of all though, let's discuss what has been finished in January. So I am wearing my Find Your Fade shawl. This is a pattern from Andrea Mowry. You've got lace sections and garter sections with a decrease running down the middle here. This one is knit out of my Chromatic Yarn advent calendar from the lovely Hannah over at the Corner of Craft. I started backwards. So I started with day 24 and have just worked my fade through with all of her colours. I think I've got maybe 8 days left of the advent calendar that I didn't include in this because it is huge enough already. So yes, this is my current favourite scarf, wrap, shawl, whatever you want to call it. It is so long you can wrap it around a number of times if you really want to. But yes, this sits nice and cozy. Undercoats in this still slightly chilly February weather. So this was, sorry, hair somewhere irritating my face. So this was the first of my planned Andrea Mowry patterns that I will be knitting this year. I have got a second one currently on the go, which is also a fade. So this is the So Faded adult size jumper. This one I'm knitting for myself. So this one is, I believe I'm knitting size 5. Excuse me. And it's on my Chiagoo 3.75mm needles. I've split for the sleeves and I'm about 6, I was about to say 6 months, it's 6 inches into the body, so another 7 inches to go before we go for the hem. And the yarn that I am using for this one is my Bird Street yarn that I picked up at the Southern Wool Show in September. So this top colour, we have got Kookaburra on their 4-ply 75/25 merino nylon. As you can see, it's browns and blues and creams. And then I faded that into their colour Scuba, which in this light doesn't really I think, oh, there we go. That's probably a more accurate representation of the colour. So it's a nice tealy bluey colour. So yeah, so that's both my bird streets being used on this one. It's a really nice pattern to follow. You've got garter stitch on the sleeves, and then the body is knit in stockinette. So I've just got the body, the sleeves and the collar to do. So yeah, it shouldn't take me too long to finish that one. So that's both of my Andrea Mowry patterns to discuss today. I do have one other finished project before we look at patterns or projects, sorry, that I am going to purify for February to get them out of my whip bucket. But now I know I said that this year was going to be all about the Andrea Mowry patterns, and no flax in sight for this year. But I did do a test knit for the Woolly Badger. So this is her Max Actually hat, which is just a lovely, this size is the toddler size, age 1 to 3 years. And if I, can you, yeah. So it's just a case of knits and purls stitches to create this lovely pattern texture. This one is knit in my colourway New Growth, which you can find in my Etsy shop. And I think that, is that giving an accurate representation of the colour? This colour, I don't know if I show you up close. It has little speckles of blue randomly in it, and it's not picking it up. Okay, but I think the blue in it is making it very difficult for my camera to pick up and show this nice light green in all of its beautiful glory. So apologies about that. One day I will learn to get the lighting right while I do one of these videos. If anybody wants to come and film it for me, that would be great. Thank you very much. Or at least tell me how to get my lighting correct. But those are all my finished projects, for February. No, I finished them in January. Right, I will learn what month of the year I'm on as well at some point today. But I do have one very big project that I've been doing many years ago, and it's actually crochet and not knitting. And I think this has been stuffed in a bag, shoved in the cupboard for probably about 8 years. And I think it's probably about time that I actually finish it in a fashion. So I am not going to complete it as I had initially planned because it's been sat there for 8 years. But basically, I crocheted loads of hexagon granny squares, basically, with different coloured centres and a cream background, or for the rest of it. And this is Aran weight yarn from Paintbox that you can get from Lovecrafts and other good stockists. And I couldn't tell you what size hook I did this on, but it looks to me like they are, is that a half treble or a treble crochet? But yeah, so I'd done loads of these. A lot of them have already been put together. Let me stand back and see if I can get all of this in. As you can see, it is all creased where it is being shoved in a bag, but I have some that have not been stitched on fully. The idea had originally been that I would do enough hexagons to then put this all together to make a giant hexagon, but that's not going to happen. So I've got ends that need cutting off. It is full of dog hair. So if you're seeing me looking down and picking bits off, it's because dog hair gets absolutely everywhere and it's on here. And it needs a wash, obviously. But I am going to attach these last hexagons wherever they feel that they need to go weave in all my ends, sew it up together. And this, there's a number of people all expecting babies within the next few months, so that is going to be put together, and that is going to become a baby blanket. So that will then be off of my needles or hook, not shoved in a box or a bag in the wardrobe. So that is going to be the death of that whip. It's going to be purified, and it's going to become a finished object. So I will hopefully be looking forward to share my finished work on that with you next month. Although if you do follow me on Instagram, you'll probably see me post a picture as and when I finally get that done. And the only other thing I really need to share with you this month, in the theme of purity, depending on which source we follow for the meaning of Februus, or the god of Februus, we've dyed up some new colourways that are just straight up plain semi-solid colours, although this one shows you those speckles I was on about in the hat a bit better. These blue speckles in here that I think is and it's in, I didn't put them on there, that's just the way the dye has dyed it. It must be a pigment within the dye that is not binding as well, or just creating these speckles. But these are part of my Purity collection that are in my Etsy shop at the moment. I am going to be adding to that with some lovely more spring colours. We're going to go with a nice pale pink, maybe some peach, some purples, just to get ready for the spring and summer months where we don't want to be wearing dark heavy colours, and we want something nice and light and bright and cheerful to be knitting and working with. But yes, these two samples are on my DK base. I believe this is my 100% superwash DK base. I do also have a 75-25, is it BFL? I'm sure it's a 75-25 blend, and I can't remember if it's merino or BFL. You'd think I should know that, considering I stock it in my shop. But today my memory is failing me greatly. So I will pop a little note below just so you know what bases I've got. But that is pretty much all I've got for you this month. Work has been incredibly busy and tiring, so there hasn't been as much knitting going on as one would like, and this did take up a great length of time with the length of this scarf to knit. So I'm a bit light on things to show you. But what have you guys been working on? Have you made any knitting January New Year's resolutions that you've stuck to, that you've broken already? If you follow Chinese New Year, are you only just making your New Year's resolutions, and what might they be? Please like, comment, let me know down below what you've been getting up to. But yeah, rather than me ramble on, I'm going to leave this one as a nice short video for this month. Mind you, it is the shortest month of the year, so I suppose that's only fitting. But yes, let me know what you've been up to, what your plans for the month ahead are. If there's any colours that you want to see in the shop, please let me know. But otherwise, take care, have a fabulous month of knitting and crafting, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.